This podcast may contain adult language, adult situations, spoilers, and some brief nudity, so parental guidance is suggested.
We have such sights to show you.
After about 5 minutes of this movie, you're gonna wish you had 10 beers.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Oh, well. La-di-da, la-di-da, la-la, yeah.
Welcome back to the Cinema Recall Podcast. Hello and welcome back to the Cinema Recall Podcast. I am the Vern. Thank you so much for listening, watching, whatever you're doing. Greatly appreciate you. On today's show, I'm combining two of our older episodes into one. I'm doing both Showgirls and Showgirls 2. Bet you didn't even know that there was a Showgirls 2, but there is, and I'm going to be playing for you that episode as well. The first part features guests Ryan L. Terry and Ashleigh Burnell on Showgirls, and then the second part on Showgirls 2 features my buddy Jeanette Mickenham. So, a lot of fun. These are going to be the shortened versions of those episodes. So if you want to hear the full, complete versions, find them on our website, cinemarecall.net, under Season 3, or search for them on your favorite podcast app. And while there, please leave us a rating and review. It helps us out. Share these on all your social media apps. We're available everywhere. Blue Sky, Threads, Twitter, Instagram. So that's it right now. Hope you enjoy this fun little bonus episode talking about Showgirls and Showgirls 2. Two cult classics that I enjoy. They're campy as hell. Also, please check out our episode on Basic Instinct. They talked about Paul Verhoeven films with the Blake Turk from Style Island. That's a fun one because I heard there's going to be a whole Basic Instinct reboot, which I'm going to talk about that on a future Rage Corner episode, but I dabbled on long enough. Let's get to the episodes right now. Thank you very much for listening and watching all the good stuff. I'm Vern. Love you all. Take care. Bye. The following episode of Cinema Recall contains adult language, movie spoilers, and situations some may find to be objectionable, so listener discretion is strongly advised. Everybody, and welcome to this another episode of the Cinema Recall Podcast, and very excited to have you listen to this episode, folks, because I brought along with me two wonderful guests. We brought along, he's a teacher, he's a screenwriter, he does figure skating, very prolific on film Twitter. We have Ryan L. Terry. Hello, Ryan.
Oh, thank you very much for having me back, the Vern. It's always a pleasure being here. I think this is our third episode together. Yeah, so our first one was the Silence of the Lambs, and then our second one was on Alien.
No, we talked about Beyond Valley of the Dolls and Valley of the Dolls.
That's right, Valley of the Dolls and Beyond Valley of the Dolls. So That's right. So, and so that's very much kind of, especially Beyond Valley of the Dolls, very much in the kind of the same, kind of sphere of film discussions as the film we're going to discuss this evening. So it's a lot of fun, and I think we have a lot of. We'll talk about the film later, so I don't get ahead of myself. But thank you very much for having me on once again. But I've been on the show a couple of times already, so I know the listeners don't need to hear from me too much as far as introductions. But listeners, you can follow me on Twitter at RLTerry1. You can also follow and subscribe to my blog at rlterryrealview.com. That's real with 2 E's. And if you're ever in the Tampa Bay area, you're more than welcome to come in and sit in on one of my screenwriting classes. I have a very fun classroom. We always have engaging discussions. And so yeah, if you ever are in the area, just hit me up and be happy to have you as a guest in my classroom. Or if you just want to have some fun, we can hit the theme parks. But
I love it. I love it, man. I love it. Yes, indeed. But we have a new guest on our show, and she is a YouTuber out from Melbourne, Australia. We have with us Ashleigh Burnell, aka the movie Oracle. Hello, Ashleigh. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
I'm very excited to have you on the show. Now, if you cats, I'm going to have Ashleigh kind of talk about herself. This is the first time I've actually had a YouTuber on our show.
Oh,
I never actually had a YouTuber, like a video person on the podcast before. Usually I've had like people that have been on other podcasts. So I'm trying to go into the other pond, not just the other pond from you being in Australia, but the fact that you're a YouTuber I'm going to new territories here, folks, and it's really kind of exciting. But maybe you can tell the listeners out there about your show. I will say this, folks, Ashleigh does have an amazing game show called Are You a Movie Oracle that I'm hoping gets picked up for distribution because it should be shown on TV services. They usually have a deal with Netflix and just do a whole series of shows with them, or Hulu or whatever. But yeah, go ahead, plug away, tell the listeners about who you are and all about the Movie Oracle.
I host the YouTube channel, The Movie Oracle, where I do film reviews and various other film-related movies, sometimes TV. And yeah, as you've just said, about a year ago, I started a game show series, which is all about movie trivia, and it's really, aside from just about having fun, it's really a game show for the everyday person. Obviously, we have a lot of people from the film community online who like to be a part of it, but it's not exclusive to YouTubers. So we've had bloggers on, we've had podcasters on, and if it was just like a casual person who is just a fan of the show and just loved movies but isn't part of the film community, they're more than welcome to come on. It's just for anyone to come and have fun and celebrate your love of movies and just kind of showcase the diversity that is in the film community itself. So it's a project that I'm really happy with, and I like that there are people who actually enjoy it. That's a good sign.
Love it, love it. And then just really quickly tell us where we can find you on this whole social media apps.
You can find me, The Movie Oracle, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, heck, even Tumblr, and I also have a couple of podcasts, and you can find a video version of that on my YouTube channel, or you can listen to it via SoundCloud or iTunes and any app that supports iTunes podcasts, so yeah.
Well, very cool. Well, I brought along Ashleigh and Ryan with me to discuss the 1990 feature Showgirls, and we brought along our puppy Chow, and we got our Crystal, and we're ready to just get into this flick.
Would you say yes?
You're gonna be a big star.
Could you say no?
You like her? I'll buy her for you.
Ask yourself,
You're a stripper, don't you get it?
I'm a dancer.
what price would you pay for your dream?
If someone gets in your way, step on them.
It's not about fair, it's about power.
This Friday, see the movie everyone is talking about.
Showtime.
Showgirls, rated NC-17, no children under 17 admitted. Starts Friday.
Now, Showgirls was directed by Paul Verhoeven and written by Joe Eszterhas. They had success a few years ago with Basic Instinct, and based on the success of that movie, they decided to work together and tell a really gritty story about Las Vegas and entertainment there. It's going to be this really gritty drama, and it just didn't turn out the way they expected it to. Now, I'm going to ask you folks this. Where were you when you first saw Showgirls? And I'm going to start with you, Ashleigh. Where were you when you first saw this movie?
In my bedroom.
Okay.
I was a wee little child, definitely under the legal age requirement for watching this film. I was without a doubt under the age of 10 when I first watched this film. It was a film that I knew my brother had in his room because he had a vast movie collection, and I don't know why I saw the tape. He was one of those people who recorded everything on VHS, and then he made his own labels, so it's not like it had a cover, and I'm just like, oh, this title, it looks interesting. So I would steal it, and for some reason I knew I shouldn't be watching it, so if anybody would come in, I'd take out the VHS and hide it under a pillow. But I was watching it, and yes, it was very, very adult themes. And I just never told anybody in my family that I had secretly stolen it and watched it, because I was pretty sure I'd get into trouble.
That's funny because I have the similar story. Now, I was a huge Saved by the Bell fan before this movie came out. And the fact that you got to see Jesse Spano naked, I'm like, oh, sweet. Well, all right. Well, I definitely got to see this. So, I remember my folks rented the movie, and, I saw Elizabeth Berkley's name on the cover. I'm like, oh, crap. So I waited for my parents to go to sleep, and I would take the video, and I was sneaking downstairs to my TV downstairs. And I remember, watching it, being all excited to watch it. And then I was like, well, nothing's happening. Let me fast forward this a little bit. And I hit stop and play. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, I see some boobs there. That's nice. But I still nothing's happening. Let me go fast forward this a little bit more. And I press play, and I watch the scene for it. And then I press fast forward a little bit more. And then soon, it was like the end of the movie. I was like, did I see the same movie that everyone was talking about? Because I did not see much sexual action going on there. I thought this movie was NC-17. I was expecting something to be really hardcore, racy stuff, and it was that never was the case. So yeah, it wasn't until years later when I did finally see the whole movie, but it was on an adult website, back in the early 2000s.
No
was
shock
when I was
there.
able to watch. It was the only time I was able to watch the whole feature was on an adult website. And I ended up watching the whole movie and found it to be cheesy, but just a lot funnier than it was intended. But yeah, that's kind of my story about how I first saw the feature. Ryan, how about you, man?
I wish my story was nearly as interesting as the stories that you guys just told. Mine is very vanilla, so to speak. I saw it when I was an undergrad. I don't remember exactly when I saw it, but I first saw it as an undergrad way before I had much better developed film critic eyes and ears, and way before I would teach screenwriting at the university. And what I remember about it is that it was deplorable. And to not be too, not to be too blunt, but that's what I remember about it. And then it's just over the course of time, I would hear other conversations about it in which it was not, a quote unquote porno, that it actually is a very artistic motion picture. And I would just pick up a little things, here and there, the satire on Vegas culture. A lot of parallels with what we saw in Hustlers last year, and so when the opportunity came around to talk about it again, I did a rewatch, and then I just rewatched it again. So I've seen it a total of 3 times. But back when you first mentioned the show idea, so I went and watched it, and then this evening I rewatched it to make sure that everything was fresh in my mind, 2-3 minutes before we started here on Skype. And so I have a newfound appreciation for it over these last couple of rewatches, and even reached out to a couple of other film Twitter folks, Kevin Brackett over at Real Spoilers, and Mike One at Mike and Oscar, and just asked them what their opinions were on it. And Kevin said this is a blind spot for him. He hasn't seen it, but it is on his watch list. But Mike was able to fill me in on some of his thoughts. And so I liked hearing from other personalities out there on what they thought of it. And it's certainly a film which is much more, in my opinion, respected now than it was when it came out in 1995. And I'm glad that we have an opportunity to do a deep dive into it, because there is a lot more there than meets the eye.
I love that. I love the description right there. Just really quickly, I'm going to give a small little plot description, and then we'll dive into this a little bit more. So Showgirls stars Elizabeth Berkley as Nomi Malone, and in the beginning of the movie, we don't know where she's coming from. She is a girl that's traveling up to Las Vegas to become a dancer, and while there, she meets up with I would say her character's name is Molly, and I forgot the actress's name. But she becomes friends with her
Gina Rivera.
Friend. Thank you, Gina Rivera. Thank you very much. So while she's friends with Molly, she introduces her to Crystal Connors, who of course is played by Gina Gershon. But at the same time, too, Nomi is a stripper at a place called Cheetahs, and it's more about the rivalry between Nomi and Crystal Connors. There's a lot of backstabbing, there's a lot of catfighting going on, and it's just about how Nomi herself rises through the ranks to become the top person. Colin McLaughlin from Blue Velvet plays the role of Zach, who is like this promoter guy who has this really bad haircut. It's basically even from the start of the movie, like when Nomi is picked up by the guy in the truck and they go to Vegas, when she is at that casino and she wins really big and then loses everything, that first 5 minutes tells you the whole entire movie. Before anything else happens, you know right from that first 10 minutes or so that you know exactly how the story is going to just go, and it's not going to go well for her as she thinks it is. But I kind of want to ask you, Cats, this. Why do you think it has taken so long for this movie to be, I want to say, respected? Not really so much respected, but when this movie first came out, it was, of course, a box office bomb. But then it got a resurgence with home video, and then with DVD, and then it's been one of the most highly successful movies for MGM. They just released, not too long ago. I remember a big box set of Showgirls. They have like shot glasses, and you got like a pin. Like, you had like a board game of pin the tail and a pasty, something like that. But it was a huge box set. It came with shot glasses and like little board games, and it had like a special edition DVD. It was really kind of a cool freaking thing, and I'm just kind of curious and want to know more about how this movie got to be such a big deal. Because the storyline, Noe comes to Las Vegas, and she comes there with like no money. She does a lot of scheming and some backstabbing, and she gets fame, and then she loses everything, and then she's just kind of back to what she did before in the beginning. So like nothing really changes. No characters in this really change, except for Molly, I guess. But she doesn't change for the better.
Yeah.
So,
understatement.
Yeah. So I just want to hear from you, like, what makes this movie become such a classic? Is it like the lines? Is it just the characters? I mean, this is definitely a fun party movie because you're just laughing at everything that's happening. But I want to know how this got to become such an iconic deal. Ryan, what's your thoughts on that, man?
I think you could liken the success of Showgirls to that of Valley of the Dolls, Beyond Valley of the Dolls. You could also liken it to Rocky Horror Picture Show very easily. And we'll probably have a similar conversation about last month's abominable screen adaptation of Cats. I think these are...
Oh, God.
Jellicles doing, Jellicles do. That freaking song's in my head.
I think, if we use probably the easiest example out of those to talk about Rocky Horror Picture Show, I think if we use that as kind of paralleling it, I think it will help us to understand how and why this box office bomb has become the cult neoclassic that it is today. And I think a lot of it has to do with being, ahead of its time, not to sound vapid and cliche, but it does strike me as a film which it would have been better suited for 2005 or even better 2015, than in 1995, because we didn't have I don't feel that films desired to be so edgy in their satire of some real world problems and issues. And so I think looking back, we can see the value in what Verhoeven was doing with this film and its critique on showgirls, on Vegas culture, and on just the Harvey Weinsteins of the world. I mean, now the Harvey Weinsteins of the world in light of the news over the last couple of years. And so we can learn a lot about our culture from that. It also has many parallels to Hustlers, and I think Hustlers is going to be one that, albeit more successful than Showgirls in the box office, it didn't pull through award season. But I do think it will be one that, like Showgirls, we will be talking about years from now. And I think there's a lot of truisms in there. I mean, we're all whores, and just like the line in Hustlers, we're all in a strip club. It's the exact same line. It's just said in a much more, I guess, palatable way than whores. Strip club just doesn't sound quite as aggressive, I suppose. But it's all the same argument. And it's true. And that's why we appreciate films like this later on, because we can look back and see the truth that's behind the ridiculous plot, behind the one-dimensional characters, behind, just the over-the-top attempt at a subversion of the grand MGM musical of the 1930s. And so we can look past all that. And then we see that it was trying to start a conversation. It was saying, hey, this is what's going on. This is life. It's not right. This is not what we are advocating, but this really goes on and deserves our attention. And we should have conversations about how we can prevent this or actions like this from happening, because it's not beneficial to allow the Harvey Weinsteins of the world to have all this power.
Yeah, definitely. Now I want to ask you, Ashleigh. I mean, I think, and you may disagree with me, or you may agree with me this or not, but I think that social media can really help a movie or not. And I think I do agree with Ryan that if this movie came out in 2015 or a little bit later, it may have had a more success than it did back in '95. Why do you think this movie has taken so long to achieve cult status? Do you agree with that statement that social media would have definitely helped push this movie to become more successful if that was back during that time, or?
I think it would, because back in the 90s, it certainly wasn't, you weren't seeing everybody being immersed in film culture, and especially like film reviews. People who were very passionate about it, obviously, were, but then other people, it was just, you go to a movie, you see a movie, that was it. And you really only had something that was word of mouth. And if it was somebody that you really trusted saying, oh my God, don't see this movie, it's crap, then as a friend, you're like, oh, hang on, they know me, so I'm going to listen to them and I'm not going to see it. So social media is definitely a factor, because I found that even if you give something a negative review, it actually prompts a lot of people to go see it. Actually, probably far more than a positive review. The number of times... yes. The number of times I've done a positive review and somebody's like, oh, that's so cool that you liked it. I hadn't even considered watching it. If I do a negative review, suddenly my comments are full of, okay, now I'm actually very interested to go and see it, to see if it is as crap as you say. So people who like to say that negative reviews ruin movies, I would say that that's actually not true at all. But I think it's more that the reason why the film does better now than it does now is I think that perspectives and how we think and how we view films has changed. So therefore we can look back at older films and appreciate more of what we couldn't back in the day. And there are so many layers and themes to this film, themes that I think are very powerful and very important, especially to women, and especially in today's era, as mentioned with Harvey Weinstein's of the world. I think it's very important to take note of those themes in this film. Whereas when it was coming out in 95, people were really only discussing it as porn, as trash, as sexist, as this. So you certainly weren't going to be having a lot of women keen to go and see something that's advertised as pornography, because they're just going to think, oh, it's a sex film that's for women, guaranteed. There's sex and drugs and lots of breasts. There's no doubt about that. but it's so much more on that. It's I'd say that's just a means to an end. It's not just a point about sex sells like so many other films, whereas it's more a commentary on the notion of promoting sex, but it's not using it as like, this is how I'm promoting my movie. It's a commentary on that very issue. And I wouldn't say a lot of women were in a rush to go and see this film back in the day, but when you give it a different perspective, especially from a woman's standpoint, and you try to say, hang on, no, I think if you were to look at it, you might actually find there's some things in there that's actually relatable, then suddenly a little more people become a bit more open-minded. But I mean, this was definitely when it was being crapped on by everyone, the main audience of people who were definitely going to be watching it and watching it on the repeat were people who were specifically there for the boobs. So they weren't really taking on any of the important messages of the film, that's for sure.
I love your point, Ashleigh, about the way we watch films now differs greatly from how we watched and consumed films and movies back in the mid-90s. And that's an entire discussion in and of itself. And I wish we could get into it more, but I think the long and short of that is that far more people are watching films as art. Film has always been an art form, but I think in the last several years, within say the last decade or a couple of decades, if we want to be a little more generous, we're consuming them. I would say we're not consuming. Some films are meant to be consumed as just like pop culture, popcorn flicks, and you know what? Those are fun. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with them. But then others are art forms, and so they are to be appreciated. And like a good wine or like an art piece, it appreciates over time. It develops. We specifically seek it out to spend time studying the material and looking for the messages and the stories and the depth behind the images. I mean, how often have we seen somebody, and I like art museums. I'm not one who will sit in front of a picture for 30 minutes, but there are those who will sit in front of a work of art for 30 minutes, just simply staring at it and staring sounds, I guess gazing is probably a better verb, gazing at the artwork. And that's what we do with a film like this, because we can see the social commentary now on the sex industry, whereas in 95, it's all... I imagine the majority of people, and to your point, Ashleigh, were just going there because it was, quote unquote, a wide release porno.
Yeah.
And so that's why so many went to go see it. But it's, I see so much more of the art now than I did when I thought of it as just a waste of celluloid. And I hate to think that was my opinion at one point, but I got to be honest, at one point it was, but. It just goes to show that over time, your opinion can change, and you can learn to look for things that you didn't look for before and look past the surface to really see what the film is about and the commentary on that culture is great. It's certainly not advocating that people behave this way. If anything else, it's saying, hey, people behave this way. Watch out. This shit is real.
Yeah.
See, I thought it was more kind of a satire, a poke on those type of aspects. Because you have to remember, when this movie first came out, the NC-17 label was kind of a new thing. I think the first one was Henry and June. And then a few other features, but after Showgirls, there hasn't been much done in the NC-17 label category. I want to think like movies like Shame and Lust Caution were the last movies I know to use the NC-17 label. So I know this was definitely a marketing push to use that. And I know both of Paul Verhoeven and Joe Eszterhas, they were just really wanting to expose the seedy underbelly of the sex industry.
It all started when Joe Eszterhas came to me and said, I have an idea about a movie in Vegas. And then I thought, that's great, but not only can I do dancing and I cannot do music, but I can do nudity. And I love nudity. I think it's great. Male or female, I think it looks beautiful. And I thought this was a possibility to show, especially females, because it's a movie about women and not about men. You know, it's show girls and not show boys. So it would be female nudity mostly. And I loved to do that. I thought it was great to do a movie with a lot of naked women and show the beauty of the female body. Like so many artists have done, you know, painters and sculptors and whatever. The female body, for me, is great. And it's attractive, it's sexual, it's beautiful, it's aesthetic, it's everything.
What I find to be kind of funny about this feature is the fact that the first club that Nomi is working at, the Cheetahs Club, both Al and Henrietta, Al is played wonderfully by Robert Davi. It's weird that him and his workers there seem to have much more... They were much more heartwarming than Zach and Phil, the people that were running the... I forgot the name of the hotel where the...
Stardust.
Thank you. Stardust, where the show Gosh was playing. So you got the big higher-ups who seem like they're nice people, but they turn out to be just kind of evil and vicious. There's a great sequence when Nomi is going to a boat show that Crystal invites her out to, and Phil is there with this big high roller, and he says to her and her friend, like, hey, look, we're going to go out to dinner, and then we'll go out to my place, and we'll all get to sing. And nobody goes, hey, wait, I'm not doing this. And Phil's like, hey, I paid you $1,000. Why are you not doing this? And she's like, yeah, for this. And she tells Zach about it. Zach calls up, actually, he's on a phone when Phil walks in, and he chews out Phil and says, don't ever do this again, or you're going to jump to your conclusions, man. And then after they leave, after nobody leaves, he calls Phil back on the phone and says, get back over here. I was just kind of joking with you. And you just oppose that with the sequence when, what was the name? Yeah, Al and Henrietta come to the Stardust, and they're all happy to see Nomi there. And Al's a sleazy guy, but yet he has, like, kind of this moment where he looks at her and is like, look, kid, I'm proud of you. You know? And then he just has that one really bad, weird line where he says it must be weird not to have anyone come on you. It's just that whole weird thing of like having a person like Zach who's up high in power, who seems like he's a nice guy, but he's really not. And you got Al, who's kind of upfront and honest about what he wants, and he seems to be the most moral person. So the whole movie itself kind of puts me into a confused state, and I love the fact that you cats are telling me how this movie is very empowering to women, and I want to hear more about that, because I don't think Nomi is a nice person. I don't think anyone in this movie, except for, I would say, Molly and maybe Al, are being nice people in this. So I'd be curious to know more about how this could be empowering to women here. And I'll ask you about that, Ashleigh.
Yeah, it's you definitely have to not look at it and go, who's a nice person, who's not a nice person. It's definitely more looking at Nomi's journey. We definitely get glimpses and understandings of her past, and that kind of explains her character and why she is the way she is. And then when you compare that to Molly, who is totally her polar opposite in terms of personality and life experience, it is a reflection on the experiences of women. So you don't have to like Nomi to relate to her, and that's the thing that is interesting. And it's her entire life story. It's not so much empowering in the sense of, wow, it makes me feel good to be a woman. Ha! No, definitely not that. But it's the fact that it's honest, it's brutally honest, and it's extremely relatable to too many women. And it's definitely, when you were comparing Al versus all the more rich folk, where that's looking at, the elites versus the people down in the gutter. And the one thing that when you compare the two worlds is, yeah, sure, it's scummy, and Al seems like a complete asshole who it's like, oh God, why would you ever be around this? But they're all at the same level, and they've all been through the same things of just in the dirt, grinding, hustling, doing what you have to get anything, not just to get anywhere, but just to get day to day. So they've kind of all come from the same life, the same struggles, the same background, whether male or female. They just understand life is really shit, and there's a game to be played, and you gotta play it if you want to get ahead in life. And I think that Al is still a guy, and he knows the system of women, but these are all women who know and understand how shit life is for women, so they've learned how to adapt and how to use that. Unless, of course, you're looking at characters like Penny, who's absolutely naive and an idiot, and does not seem to understand that very well at all. But that's one of the things that Nomi represents, and it's why, and I'm going to mention it now, why the rape scene that happens to Molly towards the end of the film, why it's so shocking, not just because it's a rape scene, and those are not exactly meant to be fun. So it's the fact that of all the characters in this film that could happen to, it didn't happen to the ones who are naked as a profession day in, day out. It didn't happen to the strippers. It didn't happen to the dancers. It happened to the sweet, innocent person who decided to see the world in a positive light, didn't see people as bad, saw everybody as redeemable or as just needing a helping hand. She's the one who had that happen to her.
Yeah.
Nobody else. It's because that's the empowering thing about Nomi, that because she has been through so much hardship, she has been used and abused, starting from childhood, and they talk about her going through foster homes, people she's attacked, and it's just like, did she attack them because she's evil? Did she attack in self-defense? She's learned from an early age that the world is a very dark and nasty place, and men are going to use you and treat you horribly, and if you do not learn to use what you have as your strength instead of a weakness, you're not going to survive. And that is ultimately the thing about Nomi. She is a survivor. Even at the end, everything has gone bad for her. She thought she had the life she wanted. It turned out horribly. And she's starting again, but she's fully prepared to do it. And it doesn't scare her to do so. She can go back to nothing because she knows how to claw her way back to the top. And somebody like Molly hasn't been through those struggles. She just sees everything through rose-colored glasses, and so she wasn't prepared to protect herself from, the wolf in sheep's clothing, so to speak. because you see things one way, and there's her friend going, no, this is not how life is. Life is shit. It is brutal, and people are going to kick you, and when you're down, they're going to keep kicking you. And so I get a little offended, but not social justice warrior offended. We're not at that level. But I get a little offended when I see women, and especially men, commenting on this film saying that it's sexist and the way that Nomi is portrayed in this film is offensive to women. I don't think it's offensive because I think it's very honest that she is just a woman who has learned, if it's like I'm being told that my femininity, my body, my appearance is going to get me in a lot of trouble. Men are going to use it, men are going to take advantage of it, but then in that happening, she's also quickly figured out that when men are so focused on her body, they become stupid and they don't see anything else, and she can manipulate that. She can use that. So she learned that all those things that were going to be used against her are her greatest weapon, and she's learned how to use it. She's learned how to use her body to manipulate men to get what she wants. She does it with Kyle MacLachlan's character. He doesn't think he's being manipulated. He is to a degree, because numerous times we see that he is literally only thinking with his penis. So that's not much of a challenge. And then when she has her conversation with Crystal Connors is a bitch, but they've been through the same place, they've grinded, and they've done the same things where it's, claw, bite, scratch.
They both got their leading roles in very much the same manner, and that earned that respect that we see there at the very end in the hospital scene, because Crystal's like, yeah, I know exactly what you did, and you know what? I did the same thing. And so it's I like that, where they're opposites through like half or 3/4 of the movie, but then the tables turn, and so then Nomi is the mirror image of what she was, which is what Crystal was, and so it's role reversal, and I like that, and I think that's how they could be frenemies in the very true sense of the definition.
Yeah, because they're both two sides of the same coin, and I love what you said, Ashleigh, about Nomi using her sexuality to obtain power, and you are absolutely right. At the end of the movie, she's going to be fine. She's going to go up to Los Angeles, start all over again, but she'll be just fine because she's a fighter that never wants to quit. Molly, on the other hand, hopefully will learn that aspect.
I've been preparing for this role my whole life, basically. 12 years, 2 to 3 hours a day dancing, so I can't really put that into words, except for it's in my blood, it's in my bones, it's in my heart. And I can't exist like Nomi without dance in my life. I'm fortunate that I found something that gives me such joy and gives me such life, because I know a lot of people don't ever find that one thing. Acting and dance does that for me, and I get to do both. So what could be better? All the dancing is throughout the film is the basic feeling that Nomi has that comes through her dance. It's interesting because a lot of the time when I was preparing for the role, through the dance rehearsals, I found out so much about the character just through the movement of the dance, which is usually you'll see through Nomi is thrashing and hard. It's a lot of her anger is through her dance, a lot of her sexuality is through her dance. So I can only tell you, I mean, when you see the film, you'll see what I'm saying, but I can only tell you as being the one that's up there, it feels pretty hot up there, so.
We got to take a short break, but Cinema Recall will be right back after these ad spots.
Every week on Real Spoilers, what we do is we take that week's big release on the weeks that we guess right, and we spoil it for you. So if you saw a movie and you want to talk about it with your friends, but maybe you don't have any friends, we can be your friends in podcast form. We'll talk about the movie in rich, vibrant detail, and it's kind of like a book club for movies.
Yeah, we're just a bunch of movie nerds.
Yeah, and so it's just a long-form conversation about the movie, going through its plot, talking about what worked, and a lot of times what didn't, and making fun of it when it doesn't work. And if you like the show, feel free to share it on your Facebook, social media, Twitter, verse thing stuff. So that's what we do on Real Spoilers. It's like a book club for movies, only with less Oprah.
Get access to episodes early, uncut video footage, and bonus shows by becoming a Patreon member. Go to patreon.com/cinemarecallpod. And for just $3 a month, you will help support our independent podcast. Thank you so much. And now, back to the show.
Everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Recall Podcast. I am your host, the Vern, and ladies and gentlemen, you are in for quite a show today, alright? We are going to be talking about the movie Showgirls 2, Pennies from Heaven, yes. And to help me out, I brought along first-time guest for the show. Very excited to have her on. We have Jeanette Mickenham. Hello, Jeanette.
Woo! Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to talk about this movie.
I was excited to have you on. When I posted on Twitter about doing an episode, I think you're the first one to kind of respond to this. I'm like, oh,
yes.
Oh, I loved it.
$50 a pop, you take them in the back. Touch and go. They touch, they go. You can touch them. They cannot touch you.
That's good.
Now, if they come, it's okay. If they take it out, come all over you, call a bouncer. Unless he gives you a big tip. If he gives you a big tip, it's okay. You got that?
Okay.
Good. If you want to last longer than a week, you give me a blowjob. First, I get you used to the money, then I make you swallow.
Was he serious?
And we are back. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Cinema Recall Podcast, talking about Showgirls 2, Pennies from Heaven. Mm-hmm. Now, during the break, we played a clip from Showgirls where Penny was talking to Al, the manager of the Cheetahs Club, talking about the rules of lap dancing. And that's kind of the last time you saw that character. You actually do see her when she hooks up with James, which is the guy played by Glenn Plummer, who wanted Nomi to be part of his dance routine. If you don't, he's a guy who got basically thrown in jail and then kicked in the nuts, but yet he still wanted to be around her. So apparently, him and Penny got, I guess, together, and they had a kid, and now we're just cutting to many years later with this. Now, before we get into certain plot details of this movie, Jeanette, I have to ask you, what was your experience like seeing this for the first time?
Well, first, I was just completely in awe of Rena Riffel. I think it's completely amazing that she took it upon herself to get this movie made. She was like, Showgirls 2 canceled? What? No, I'm going to do it. And she wrote it, she directed it, she starred in it, she did a Kickstarter campaign for it. And it's a completely guerrilla filmmaking, experience. And if you are familiar with that at all, I saw it all over the place. This was somebody who was just had a dream to get this thing made. So that was the first thing I thought of. I was like, wow, man, she was committed to this project and she did whatever she had to do to get it to go. And then for me watching it, I know that there's some crazy things. I have so many feelings about it, but it just was like a carnival in my mind of what was awesome and terrible, and what was awesome about the terrible. And There's just so much.
Okay. Yes.
So much.
Thank you for bringing up Raina Riffle. She is the lead person in this, wrote it, directed it, started it, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to admire her passion for wanting to get this made.
Yes.
Despite the fact that she probably doesn't really know a lot about certain elements of filmmaking and storytelling. Just the passion and drive she had to make this movie made makes me kind of appreciated of her a little bit. Like, I want to see her do more movies. In fact,
she does. She has a couple other ones.
She does. Okay, I will be curious to check those out. And I think that maybe if we can get her and Tommy Wiseau to make a movie, it would be the greatest thing ever.
Oh my gosh, that would be a match made, because she does oh geez, I should have written it down, but she did a movie that had to do with it was like a horror slasher type. Yeah. I can't think of it. I think Showgirls 2 is her third one.
What, really? Oh.
Yes, which I was really shocked, because I was like, what? She's had practice with this before, and she's still Showgirls 2 is still Showgirls 2, so yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm looking at her director credits on there. Trash Ella.
Yes, yeah.
Was one that she came, and then she made a movie called Trashilla Ultravitzen, and then Showgirls 2. Wow.
I know. And Trashilla has some scenes in it I watched the trailer for with a little Barbie doll thing or something. I don't know. It's pretty crazy.
Okay.
It's got to be on my list, I think.
I like just the name of it alone. That just looks really kind of and I'm willing to bet. See, I saw this movie not too long ago on this site called Midnight Pulp, which shows a bunch of like B movies and exploitation films, and very happy that this was on there. And I'm betting I'm probably gonna find Trashilla on that network as well. But my first experience watching this movie is for like utter kind of confusement and bewilderment because Showgirls was shot with like a huge budget. It's beautiful looking. The weird thing about Showgirls is that it has like kind of B movie style acting in like a big Hollywood A-list blockbuster setting. And so those two things
Yes, I suppose that's true. Except I think that was only with Elizabeth Berkley. I feel like she really got the short end of the stick with Showgirls. I love Showgirls. I thought it was gorgeous and beautiful, and it had a really good story there. And I will watch anything with Gina Gershon in it. But Elizabeth Berkley, they didn't give her a good character development. Like, she just flies off the handle. I think if she was more normal-ish, the film would have done much better.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I think that their performances are good, but they're still both, even Gina Gershon and Elizabeth Berkley, they're both good in the roles. I think Gina Gershon knows that she's being in a campy movie, and Elizabeth Berkley thinks that she's being in a serious movie.
Yes.
So those different personalities and performances are still kind of like B-level performances, and then you got like this beautiful, like this widescreen aspect ratio and good cinematography. Compare that with Showgirls 2, which looks like it was shot with a home video camera.
Oh my god. I think it probably was.
I think so too. And the fact that all the locations are outside, like all the strip clubs are outside, shots that shows locations are like someone's postcards.
Yeah, hardly anybody is there. That's what I mean about this guerrilla filmmaking. They literally, I envision them all in a van and then pulling up to a place and going, okay, there's nobody around. Jump out, let's do the scene. Doing the scene, blah, blah, blah. And then oh, nobody's in the stairwell. Okay, let's show us walking down the stairwell, in these weird little coves. Weird places.
Definitely.
A feast for your senses! The Star Dancer!
I'm not a stripper. I'm a showgirl, and I was born to be the star of the show.
Ain't no happy ending, man, when you're chasing that dream.
I'd like to stick this in your G-string.
So, you gonna be an actress or something?
I'm gonna be a star.
I had to claw my way all the way to the top.
Where the showgirls sizzle and the star burns hotter than the sun. Live from Seven Sister Studios, your beautiful Seven Sisters, Star Dancer!
That's my part.
All right, so getting into this right now, I wrote some notes on this. So,
Okay.
In the movie begins, Penny is still stripping, and she is told by this producer dude that she gives a lap dance to come out to LA or someplace for an audition. Now, during this time, she's still with James, played by Glenn Plummer. Now, and on the way there, she meets up with the same guy who picked up Nomi from the first movie.
Yes.
Now, here's the weird thing too. So
Dewey
they drive
Webster.
together.
Mm-hmm.
They actually they have sex a few times.
Yeah.
And then he leaves her. Now this part that's kind of weird. She meets a girl who she sees kill someone, and then she takes her outfit, but we never see that lady again.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, like you're mostly on the right track. So when the movie opens, Jimmy's telling her you have to have formal training because she wants to be a dancer. Then she decides to leave without telling anybody. She gets in the car with Jeff, the original Jeff, who picks up Nomi. They hit it off, and he steals her suitcase. He leaves her. Then she does hook up with those impersonators, who the Marilyn Monroe gal, she kills the two guys, and then Penny or Hope or Hilga, whatever you want to call her.
Yeah, we can do the Hilda thing later.
She gets into that struggle with the Marilyn Monroe chick and steals her, and then finds all of the money in the purse and is like, okay. So then she's like, I need a disguise, and then she puts on the bloody dress, which I didn't get, and and then she winds up in Seven Sisters.
Okay, so we're now in the part of the movie where she's at this town.
Yeah.
And she meets this guy who asked her to be his star dancer.
Yes.
And I'm forgetting that character's name, but all I wrote down is that she met a guy and he takes her to his place, and he has like a lot of like Nazi memorabilia. So I'm gonna refer to this guy as being Nazi lover guy.
So that guy is Goddard, and he, first of all, she's doing beer bongs with some random guys in a side yard. Then he shows up and she's like, hi, let me give you a lap dance. I don't know you. And then they go to this crazy weird restaurant and they talk about all that, the Nazi symbol. I was like, what the heck does this have to do with anything? And then, yeah, you can be my star dancer. And she's like, okay. So, yeah. And then he pulls her into his web of...
Yeah, and then you're introduced to, I guess, his wife, I guess, or his other partner.
His fiancée, Katya.
Fiancée Katya. And then he also introduced Penny, aka Hope. Actually, he calls her Helga.
Yeah.
Which I never quite understood.
I
why.
think she just didn't want to tell anybody her real name, so she makes it up.
Okay, that's what it was. She wanted to avoid that. Okay, and then he introduced her to this guy named Vladimir.
Yes.
And they, have a nice date, and they kind of hook up. And she's like totally in love with this Vladimir guy, and then you never see him ever again.
No, because he was a fake date. Goddard had set her up as a high-priced escort. And he gives her money, and she's all mad. I'm not a whore. I'm not a this. And he's like, well, here's your cut from the money, and she takes it.
Oh, okay. So Vladimir
He's a total pimp. Yeah.
Okay.
He's a total escort pimp.
He was pimping her out to Vladimir, so
yes.
It had nothing to do with love at all, just kind of hoarding her out. Okay,
but
all right.
Penny didn't know that because she's not the brightest.
Okay, fair enough. And then later on, we found out that Hope wants to be part of this popular dance show.
Oh my god.
Which is actually kind of like really laughably bad because this is supposed to be... Well, this is supposed to be the most, popular dance show.
I know.
But it's shot in, this really cheap and broken down theater.
Yes.
Where I see, maybe 3 people, and most of the people that are in the audience are the producers of the show.
It's so terrible. I mean, there is no, decorations anywhere. It's just like a bare stage with a pole, and they're crammed in the corner.
Yeah.
And the choreography is ripped right out. There's so many Showgirls rip-offs throughout this whole movie.
Oh my gosh, yes, I wrote that in my notes too. And
oh my gosh.
Even some of the lines too are taken directly from.
Every time somebody says "darling," I'm like, "Hello." There's still so many things.
Darling.
Yeah.
You have James using the "everybody's got AIDS and shit" line in the beginning of the movie. Yeah. Okay, so moving on from this. So there's a famous dancer.
Yeah.
In this thing, who gets hurt and is looking for a replacement, which becomes the Katya. I wrote down the nicest guy's wife.
Yes.
And the Goddard wants Penny to meet with the guy for sex. I'm guessing so she can help get passes for the dance show that's supposed to be part of.
Yeah, she's pretty determined to get on the show. And so first I really, the rhinestones on the floor, and then the dancer, slips and breaks her hip. And then they have to find, injures her hip anyway, and they have to find somebody. Well, then, of course, the producers call Goddard because, they're calling in favors in this, lodge. And he sends Katya, and who, I'm sure she's great, but I was like, man, anyway. So then Penny sees her on TV, and she's like, that's my part. And so he's like, okay, well, you got to meet with these people, and then I'll get you backstage passes to the show. So he just keeps setting her up on these sex dates and dangling the carrot of getting close to this show. And so she keeps saying yes.
Even though she knows it's kind of bad for her. I did laugh when the main dancer kind of went down because they recreated that one sequence from Showgirls. So they put the gems on the ground, and the way the lady falls is great because she basically just kneels down.
These people are not professional fallers.
No.
They do not know how to do this.
I know that, but I would like it a lot more if they just took like a doll and just dropped the doll on the floor, just done something completely ridiculous. Because the way that she falls, it looks like she had a bad spasm in her neck or something like that, or in her leg.
Yeah.
And she just falls down because she's kind of in pain, not because someone put gems on the ground to make her fall.
Yes. Well, and then later, when we see that character later, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we talked about me and the guy versus passive for the show. Mm-hmm. Now, the Katya and Penny become friends, and she's teaching her how to do ballet.
Yes.
And I found the whole sequence kind of to be funny because she's just trying to tell her to do a simple turn. And I guess Penny doesn't have good eye coordination balance because she can't really do that type of stuff. And all Penny wants to do is just do like these like sexualized dance moves.
Yeah.
And there's nothing erotic about it at all.
No. I did enjoy they have such a love-hate relationship. They are so hot and cold, those two women. And yes, all the technical language for dance, for ballet, and Penny's just stuck in her stripper mode. Yeah, those were really interesting to watch.
My favorite moments of their kind of dynamic together. Well, first of all, it was when they have like this. Well, I'll do that scene. Okay, but they have they have one scene where they have a whole conversation holding cooked wieners.
Yes.
And they're doing like it's the whole exposition portion of the movie where they're giving backgrounds on each other's characters, and all they're doing is just holding these cooked wieners, and they're talking about the food they used to eat back in the day. About and they had that line, "Isn't this much better than rice and vegetables, or water and raw rice and vegetables?"
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right from there, have this conversation holding these wieners, and then at the end they take one and they each take a bite out of it at the other end, kind of doing a quasi Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A real awesome version of that.
They could fry an egg on my asphalt.
That's what it takes. A burning desire. An obsession.
Katya, can we do this again? You really inspire me. Goddess power.
Goddess power.
Very much so. Now, help me out there, Jeanette. I think this scene took place before the pool scene with them, too.
Yes. The infamous pool scene.
So, they recreate the infamous pool scene in this very cheap-looking hotel pool.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah, I couldn't tell. I thought maybe that all the interior house scenes, maybe that was actually Rena's house and that was her pool. I don't know. It's hard to tell because they did spend a lot of time in that one particular location. So I thought that maybe, yeah.
No, that
regardless.
That very could well be, but they tried to do the whole flapping fish right there. And it's really kind of weird watching someone kind of do like a cover version of that scene, because the original scene in Showgirls, I mean, it was supposed to seem like this very kind of like hot and sexy scene. I'm sure
very passionate, yeah.
But very passionate and very like wild. And that scene has become kind of a joke.
Oh yeah.
So watching someone else try to recapture that scene that's already been seen as a joke, it feels like you're doing a joke on top of another joke, and it kind of loses the humor that the scene had.
Yeah, and not only that, that whole sequence, they, like, obviously Rena is like, okay, you're going to pour the champagne on me and you're going to lick me and we're going to have really awkward, stiff girl on girl kissing, but I'm not going to do anything to you. And then you're going to have to hold me up in the water while I'm, thrashing about. And try not to drown yourself in the process. I mean, like, the whole thing was cringy to watch.
Because I don't think any of them had any really kind of, like, any chemistry at all.
No, I agree.
I'll get to a sequence later on that has an orgy scene, which also was very kind of awkward and weird.
Yes.
So, and then here's what I wrote down, too. So they write down time cue cards during this movie, and I don't understand why they're used. Like, 2 weeks later.
Oh, yeah.
A month later.
Yeah. Well,
like, does it really matter if it's a day or a month later? I don't know.
It does not matter. However, and maybe we'll get to this one particular scene where something the guy at the rest stop kind of thing catches up to her. So hopefully we get to that, because the time cards, there's some details there.
Yes, I totally forgot where that. I know when you're talking about, there's a moment when Penny meets up with this guy who says that she gave him his first lap dance.
Yeah, but then they bring him back later.
Yeah, so I thought, well, it's kind of weird having him in the movie. You even have, like, another character from Showgirls, and I recognize him as being the guy who told Nomi to go to a boat show to basically have a three-way with him and some sort of Japanese business promoter.
Yeah.
He's in this movie, and he runs, like, a pawn shop now.
Oh, yeah, that guy. Yeah.
So I found that whole thing to be kind of weird. So we mentioned before that both Penny and Katya have become friends, and lovers in a way. And then for unknown reason, she hates Penny.
Yes.
And she has a sequence where she rubs lotion all over the mirror and herself. And I have no effing freaking idea about why the hell she is upset with her. And I'm glad to have you on the show.
Yes, because Goddard, all he talks about is Helga, Helga, Helga. So Katya is jealous. And so she's like, get out of here. She has some great lines like, guards, take the trash out. Who didn't take the trash out and gets her kicked out. But then she does this whole monologue about how he just wants her to be a good cook. Katya in the mirror, she's talking about the downfall of her relationship with Goddard. And then she goes into that whole meltdown with the Pond's cold cream. I just was like, this is amazing, because she can't even look at herself, so she's going to put the cold cream all over the mirror. And she's doing this terrible laugh / descent into madness, and then she's got it all over her face. It's so terrible. It's so terrible. I thought if it was me, it would be so authentic, because I would be like, how did I get myself into this terrible movie? And I would literally it would be an Oscar-worthy performance. So.
Oh, I bet I would love that.
Oh my God.
All right, so now Penny, aka Hope, aka Helga, she becomes an escort.
Yeah.
And she's going to the studio executive's office, and she does this erotic dance with an apple.
Yes.
And then, so basically she and the producers, like a male producer and a female producer, they're in bed. And then this other woman shows up, and she's like, hey, thank you very much for inviting me to yada yada show. And he's like, hey, let's not worry about business right now. It's about pleasure.
Right.
And thus begins the most awkward, non-sexiest orgy ever.
Yeah, so
I mean,
that's what I was saying. We're going to see that star dancer chick come back because the one that originally fell and hurt her hip is the woman who eats the apple. Remember, she's walking to the bed with a cane. The redheaded girl.
Yeah, I don't think I caught that was the same woman.
That's the same girl. That's the same woman. And so the dancer, the lead dancer who falls from the gems, and the producer, they're married, and but they like to, have a good time, and so they bring Hope / Penny / Helga, and then the secretary comes or whoever she is, and so they're all rolling around. I will say that the redheaded dancer girl and the secretary business girl, they have much better sexual chemistry than anybody in this whole entire movie. They actually look like they're kissing for real. I mean,
yeah,
it's the only moment, I think.
They do, and maybe I was like writing down notes and I didn't really see much of their passion because it seemed to be kind of brief. I'm just trying to write a series of notes every time a scene comes on that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, well, what the fuck? I gotta write this shit down.
Yeah, totally.
But it's very much a very awkward set scene. Okay, so the Nazi guy, Godard, wants Penny to be in this snuff movie.
Oh, yeah.
And he's showing her the scene of one being shot, and in watching this random cute lady in lingerie cleaning, and I forgot who the maid's name is, but after Godard shows Penny the scene of a snuff film and wants her to be in it, the maid in lingerie tells Penny, hey, look, this isn't a good idea. A lot of producers get women who are very vulnerable to star in movies like this, thinking that it's going to be just a regular porn film, and then they get killed. And then she says, I learned this from my detective classes.
Yes.
So I just found the whole thing about how this cute maid in French outfits, warning our hero about potential dangers, and that would have been fine by itself. But the fact that she added in, I learned this from detective classes I'm taking.
Well, that on top of why would Goddard want his number one girl to be killed? I mean, that's you're cutting yourself off from future revenue. Why would you do that? Well, I feel like he would want to exploit her as long as possible. And, only when she's not willing to do anything anymore, then kill her off. Why would you? It just seemed like he's not a very smart businessman.
I wasn't quite sure if he. I'm not quite sure of when he wanted to shoot that snuff film. Maybe he wanted to. Shoot it at a later date.
It could be
or something.
Yeah, it could be. But yes, she, the maid with that wears no, this just lingerie. I never really quite understood the whole point of that, except the overall sense is if we show a lot of boobs, if we show a lot of scantily clad, if everybody's basically barely wearing any clothes, maybe we'll get a better chance of people watching this. I'm not sure.
You know what this reminds me of a little bit, and I'm going to not spear off to any of the categories here, but watching this movie, it kind of reminded me of watching David Lynch's Inland Empire.
Oh.
I got that kind of vibe, the way that it was shot and the locations, just the look of the movie.
Well, I think she did pull from a lot of different areas because, if you go back to, the Marilyn Monroe impersonator scene, that's like straight out of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Where are you? You know, and Bette Davis. That's like a total rip from there. When she's like, where are you? You know, where are you? She's, so there, I think Rena Riffel was trying to glean as much from all her, you know, favorite movies or something of moments that she really liked to kind of help give her an idea of how she wanted to direct a specific scene. So I think that's what makes this movie so much fun in a weird way to watch, is because she rips off everything.
Yeah, that's that.
And just throws it in there. And then I feel like she must have just, whatever they shot, they kept. I doubt that there is anything that they edited out.
I agree with that, because I believe she probably edited this movie as well, if I'm not mistaken. I have to check back on that.
I don't know.
But so back into the movie.
Yes.
So the Godard becomes jealous of Penny.
Yeah.
And wants her to continue be an escort, and wants her to pay him. Apparently, she's getting more famous, I guess, for the clients she has, from what I understand.
Well, that, and she actually gets to be the understudy now for Katya.
Yeah, like, so she pushes Godard down the stairs, and I wrote down in a very badly done way, because it looks like he's crawling down the stairs. He gets to the end, she has a gun, she shoots him.
In the collarbone, shoulder.
In the collarbone.
Yeah.
But he gets up and runs off, and here's the most confusing thing about that scene after she pushes him down the stairs and shoots him, is that a cop is there for no reason.
Keep messing things up.
But I'm living my dream. How is this messing things up? What's your dream? Owning whores?
You are nothing. Nothing but a dumb beer bong slut. I molded you into what you are today, and now you're living the dream. Go figure. I want what's mine, and you are mine. Angel with dirty face. You make me sick.
Yeah.
Like, a cop is there, and then suddenly we cut to her at a locker room, and she meets him with Katya.
Uh-huh.
And she's upset with Katya that she had an orgy. And then the cop just suddenly appears there. Now, I'm not quite sure if this cop can somehow move dimensions from different place to different place. Is he a superhero? I feel like he's a superhero. Like, some sort of, like, Doctor Who level person that can bend time and space. But she's there.
Yeah.
The cops chase after her. And then this is where I need your help with her. Then she wakes up in her bed. So was that all a dream?
That I don't know. I don't know. There's like some weird things in that little part of the sequence that I just was like, okay, I'm just gonna move on, because there's a lot of weird things. She gets the audition to be on the show after sleeping with having the orgy, and then she gets to be the understudy and whatever. But then her past is coming back. You know, the whole triple murder thing is coming back to get her. Her world is closing in on her really quick.
which kind of surprises me that when she meets the guy at the car who tells Penny that, hey, I used to be my first lap dance, I was surprised that wasn't the cop that came back to arrest her.
It is.
It is that guy. I thought it was a completely different cop.
No, it is that guy, and that's the thing with the time cards. All this time goes by, and yet he is visiting the murder scene and sees a perfectly pristine napkin that she used to blot her lips and wipe after going pee in the woods. Like,
okay.
It was completely a pristine napkin, and he's like, oh, now I'm going to get you. And then he finds the business card of the producer, who eventually IDs Penny in the lineup. But we might be getting too far ahead. Do you remember that part?
Yeah, no, I do. And I thought that was like a different cop. The cop that shows up at her home after she pushes the guy down. I thought that was a different cop. I did not realize it was the same guy.
I think that is a different policeman that shows up at her house. But the detective at the end is the detective who stops to see if she needs any help with her car and says, hey, you gave me a lap dance. Those two guys are the same.
All right, so that's it. That's the end of our Showgirls episode. Big shout out to our guests. Again, Ryan Altieri and Ashleigh Burnell on our Showgirls episode. And then Jeanette Mickenham on our Showgirls 2 episodes. Again, if you want to find the full, complete versions of that, it's available under Season 3 on our website. You just gotta just search down the list, or you just find this on your favorite podcast app and just search for the shows that way. That's very cool. Right now, I'm giving a shout out to all of our wonderful Patreon members. Again, patreon.com/Cinema Recall Pod. This is a place where you can find shows early and some bonus episodes, some fun content. Trying to do more with that, but I greatly appreciate everyone's support. So, in no special order, I gotta give a shout out right now to Jen McQuaid from Shot and Applaud, Jason Soto from Rabbit Hole Podcast, author Christian Hurst, Steve W., Matt and Ashley from Mashley at the Movies, my buddy Donnie Roberts, Linda Castro, and Jeanette Miller. Again, all these people are wonderful. I do want to say that Donnie is going to be a new co-host of a podcast I'm doing in August for Rabbit Hole Podcast, continuing the Rotten Truth that was started with Jason Soto. Jason's no longer able to do that show for personal reasons or whatnot. So I'm going to bring on Donnie to discuss movies that got low ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Fun stuff. I'm going to also be recording an episode with Donnie and Cam Sully from Jacked Up Reviews on the 100 best films of the century from the New York Times list. So that's it. I love you all very much. Or even just one of you, if just one of you is listening, I love you. I love you the most, all right? Because you actually pay attention. And you look at my eyes instead of down my shirt. So anyways, love you all very much. And I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.